All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to talk about something that, look, I labeled this video the unfair hack that the ultra rich abuse to make millions. And it's pretty true. Based off of all the clients that I've worked with, there is one common theme between all of them that defines companies who really succeed a lot versus companies who stay stagnant. Now, I wrote this article back in 2022, and I want to walk you guys through it just to talk about how this concept works and how you can use it for yourself. And I also want to talk about some other metrics that don't really matter in comparison to this one. So, without overcomplicating it, ROAS is not as important as people think. What really matters in online marketing and in business is something called your new customer acquisition cost to your lifetime value ratio. And that sounds really complicated, but I want to break it down and really simplify it so that way you can focus on the right things when it comes to your business, your marketing, whatever it is. Now, before getting into that, I want to explain to you why ROAS is really overrated because there's a lot of different ways that you can cheat ROAS, so to speak. Like I put cheat in quotation marks. So, for instance, you can overspend on your own branded keywords. Like you can spend too much on your own branded search terms if your business is called Smith Roofing Company and you just bid on terms for Smith Roofing Company, right? You're overspending on your brand. Now, there is an exception where you should be spending on your brand keywords, especially if there's competitors coming in to bid on your terms. But say, for instance, you're overspending on your branded keywords. There's other ways where you can run too many sales and like you might have a high ROAS because of that, but then you end up missing out on the margin because your products are discounted. Or, for instance, you can overspend on remarketing and you're only marketing to existing customers. You're not actually getting new people in the door. So you might have a overinflated ROAS by doing these things. You might be running at an 8x, you might be running at a 7x. But if you're not getting new people in the door and measuring how much money that they're spending with you across a longer time period, then it's just not indicating how much success your business is going to have. Because ROAS is a really literal metric in the sense that someone clicks your ad, someone goes to your site, and they hit the checkout. And they're getting cookied, they're getting tracked to capture how much they spent. And then Facebook or Google or whatever it is just dividing that by your cost. So it's a very literal metric. It's not saying you're having X amount of business growth. You're not gaining new customers. You're not seeing revenue growth over the long term. And those are the real metrics that you want to measure. So let's talk about this hack that the ultra rich abuse, so to speak, because all the most successful companies in the world do this. Amazon does it, Walmart does it, McDonald's does it. This was actually one of the companies where I first really learned about this concept. And I want to talk about it, especially going back to this article that I wrote, and I want to talk you guys through it. So let's talk about the basics. What is your new customer acquisition cost, or NCAC for short? All that is how much money are you spending on paid ads to get somebody who had no previous awareness of you and get them to buy their first product or service with you. That's what I mean by getting someone in the door, so to speak. So your new customer acquisition cost, you're going to be losing some money probably on bringing someone in the door, but you're going to measure that against your what they call a customer lifetime value. So your customer lifetime value is when you're measuring the total amount of money spent a customer has spent with your company or with your business across a long time period, ideally 6 months or 12 months, or you look at 2 years, something like that. That's what you want to measure these two things compared against each other. So I'll illustrate this with a quote in the article that I wrote. And it goes, "The business that can spend the most to acquire a customer wins." So it's a really strange sounding quote, but when you break it down the way I'm going to explain it, it actually makes a lot of sense. So there's three main points that I lay out. One, it always costs some degree of money to get clients in the door of your business. And two, it costs your competitors also some degree of money to get clients into their business as well. Now, the business that can afford to pay the most in getting new customers in the door is going to outcompete all the other businesses who can only afford to pay less. So, in online advertising, you're spending money, you're trying to get new customers into your company. You're paying whatever it is, $10, $20, $30 to get a new customer to purchase their first product or service with you. So, for example, if you're selling a product with a $10 profit margin, then how much do you have to spend on paid ads to get someone in the door? It has to be $10, right, in order to break even. But let's say you take that same product with a $10 profit margin, and because of competition or new businesses coming into your space, they might drive up your advertising costs. So it costs $2 or excuse me, $12 to bring in a new customer. So if you have a $10 margin and it costs $12 to bring in a new customer, then you're actually losing out on $2 for every sale. So because of the fact that you can't really change the increase of competition that you're dealing with, one thing that you can change is your offer or your adjustments to your customer lifetime value strategy. Now, let's say you add something like a cross sell. All a cross sell is just adding something to your checkout saying, hey, do you also want to buy this product along with the thing that you're also trying to buy? And, not everyone is going to take the cross sell, but let's say a handful of people do. Let's say for this example, one out of every three does. Now, if we keep those same margins, how much can you spend on customer acquisition and at least break even? And that math comes out to this right here, $13.33 or less. Now, let's say the margin from your average order value across three sales is $40. And you compare this against your new cost per purchase of $13.33, then here's how the math looks. Let's say for the first three sales, you get $13.33 loss each. So that totals up to a $40 loss. And now that amounts to a $0 break even point. So this is extremely important because you can now outcompete all of your competitors who can only spend $13 or $12 or $11 to acquire a customer. The point that I'm trying to make with all of this is that when you spend money to bring in a new customer in the door, their spending habits don't only stop there when you measure your customer lifetime value. If you bring in a customer for $10 and they spend $10 with you, you might have a $0 break even on day one. But if you look at 6 months or 12 months out, where they spend maybe $50 or $100 with you, then from those standpoints, you can say you actually profited $40 or $90 after you subtract your customer acquisition cost. And that's because these businesses can afford to wait on a longer time frame and actually make their profit back. And if you think about this, this is a concept that has applied to you over your whole life, whether or not you actually realize it. Like if you think about your favorite grocery store, you might have spent several $100s with them last month. But if you look at the past 5 years, you've spent thousands and thousands of dollars with them. And these companies, these giant mega corporations, are thinking in terms of customer lifetime value because they know that a customer isn't only spending with them on day one, they're looking at multiple years out. So again, I'll go back to the quote, the business that can spend the most to acquire a customer wins. Because when you look at success and revenue on these longer time horizons, you're not getting the revenue from a customer just on day one. You're getting it at 6 months in and 12 months in. And then you can really afford to be more aggressive with your bidding and outperform all these other businesses that are going after the same customers that you are. And down here, I put something to really visualize the illustration I'm trying to show. So your LTV is up here, this line here in blue. Your CAC, that's your customer acquisition cost. Although you might not even be breaking even on the cost to bring in a new customer in the door, if you look at your profit across time, then you're going to be able to make your money back, whether it's a 6 month or 12-month time horizon, whatever it is. So, guys, that's really what I want you to think about. ROAS is overrated. You need to think about what is your new customer acquisition cost and what is your customer lifetime value. Now, if you run paid ads, if you do Shopify, if you do online digital marketing, I would check out a couple tools. The first one is called Triple Whale. The second one is called Northbeam. I'll put links down to those in the description. They're not affiliate links, but I would check those out in terms of measuring your new customer acquisition cost to your customer lifetime value, long-term revenue. So guys, that's all I really had for you today. If you have any comments, leave them down in the descriptions below and I'll get back to you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you guys next time.